Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And in this video we are both covering the EX plus the Cosmos version of the fight. Basically the first video that you will see, which is what you're watching now, is going to be the EX version of the fight, and once it finishes I will be showing you the Cosmos fight. In all honesty, it was really hard for me to make this decision, because in the comments on my previous video, in Act 2 Chapter 3 Event Cosmos video, it's basically a tie. There's two people who wanted more videos and two more that didn't, just want me to cover sort of the Cosmos fight and just give it a little bit of a twist when it comes to the EX, like give a little bit more information on the EX as well. So yeah, it was really hard for me to make this decision, but hopefully you guys would prefer this format, because I don't really want to cover too much of the same thing. And basically the Cosmos fight is just an identical fight, just a little bit harder, and you probably need to execute the strategy that I present to you much better, or you may need a little bit of luck here and there as well. That can be part of it. But overall, the Cosmos fight is exactly identical, just that the boss have a higher level, which means they have a higher HP value, and of course you have a lower turn count as well. So in all honesty, I don't really want to cover two of the same fight, with just one having a little bit tankier and having a little bit lower turn count. So the idea is for me to present you sort of some tips and guide, and for you to execute these things that I tell you much better in the Cosmos version of the fight. So anyway, I hope this will please you guys. If not, you can always let me know down in the comments below, and you can voice your opinion, and I may reconsider just changing this altogether as well. I have some thoughts in my head as well, but at the meantime, this is what I've come up with, and there are still some things in my head that I may consider doing, but for now this is the final decision that I've come up with, and I hope you guys enjoy. Now with that out of the way, let's start this video. Now as always, we'll start off with the weaknesses, resistances, and the abilities of the final boss, which is the White Qilin, or I should say Kirin actually. But in any case, it has weaknesses to two elements, which is the ice and holy elements, and it has a resistance to the dark element. As for its abilities, it has its normal brave attack, which is a melee brave attack, trample, which increases its brave when his brave is less than his initial brave, and deals a melee HP attack. Next, it has gaze, which is a magic brave attack. This also inflicts a defense down and triggers a dark Ga when acting twice in a row, which we will cover a little later. Next, it has dark, which is a dark magic brave attack, which is less powerful, but it triggers the trample ability once it acts twice in a row. Next, it has the Dark Kra and Dark Ga version, which are basically more powerful versions of the Dark Magic Brave attack. Next, it has Cerulean Bolt, which is a Magic Brave attack, which grants itself an attack up to itself. This also triggers Dark Ga when attacking twice in a row. Next, it has Group Dark Kra, which is a Group Dark Magic Brave attack. This also triggers the White Light Black Thunder when acting twice in a row. And again, it has the Dark Ga version, which again is a group dark magic brave attack. It's a more powerful version when it's inflicting brave or attacking a target afflicted with break. This also triggers the white light black thunder when acting twice in a row. Now the white light black thunder, I don't know why it's named like that, but it basically increases its brave when its brave is less than its initial brave. And again, this is going to be a group magic brave attack, but it has an HP attack as well. Next, it has Storm Calling. This basically removes its own debuffs, frames excluded, raises its max brave, and begins acting twice in a row. And of course, it has a plus version of this. This basically just raises its attack, defense, and speed in addition to the effects of Storm Calling. And when the Storm Calling finally finish, it will have the Wind Die Down, which basically cancels the effect of Storm Calling or Storm Calling Plus, and it ends the white killing acting twice in a row. Next, it has Muster, which raises its magic attack and its initial brave. And finally, it has immunity to the attack down debuff and the magic attack down debuff as well. Alright, now it's time to take a look at some general tips and guides now that we know the weaknesses, the resistances, and the abilities of the last boss. Now the first one, as always, is to save about 70% of your abilities for the boss. This is mainly for the Cosmos fight because the boss does have a ton of HP. If you can get away with 80%, then you can go for it. However, in the EX version, if you are a veteran player, you probably will just roll through this one. You don't really need to save about 70% of your abilities, maybe around the 60% mark if you're really wasteful. But overall, you should be able to get through the earlier waves quite easily in the EX version of the fight. However, in the Cosmos, they do have a ton more HP, so you will be using up more of your abilities, but do try to save about 70% and you should be fine. Next is to bring in the boosted characters, and for the first time ever, we have 5 different boosted characters, and you have a pick of Vayne, Zack, Cyan, Sarah, and of course Paladin Cecil as well. However, if you do not have any of these characters, other characters that you may want to consider are Quistis, Cloud, Firion, Thancred, Jet, Agrias, Bartz, Freya, Sephiroth, Rosa, Celeste, Lael, Lightning, Renoa, Kefka, or the Warrior of Light. Now, I really want to do a quick mention on some of these characters. This is probably what I'll do in the future as well. I'll just pick certain characters here that are not boosted that I feel like will probably help you more in this fight more than the others. For example, for Quistis, if you're aiming for the delay tactic, it's still quite viable in the Cosmos fight, so bringing her is going to be really helpful. Cloud has his paralysis, and he's got a like 100% paralysis if you decide to use his finishing touch first, and of course you have to have his passive ability. This can save you in a pinch, or if you're following it up with a delay tactic as well. You know, this is really gonna put the boss in the back burner as well. Thancred with that poison is gonna help. I feel like Sephiroth is probably one of the best single target DPS, and seeing as there is only one boss in this fight, then Sephiroth is definitely gonna be helpful here. As for Celeste, I feel like she can be a bit underrated right about now because she doesn't really have any overflow sort of like within her abilities, but because of the boss basically a magic based creature, or its attacks are mainly magic based, Celeste is really very unlikely to die. if you're here for survivability, or if that's your problem, then Celeste is probably the choice for you. However, I do have to warn you that she doesn't have the DPS, so if you are planning to bring Celeste, you may want to bring stronger DPSs with her in your party. And of course, Lightning is my favorite character. She can help with delay. She's so-so in the DPS department, but still quite useful, and especially if you're aiming for that delay. And of course, Renoa, no question asked, basically one of the best DPS we have right now. And a Kefka I put here because it's quite interesting with Kefka. In terms of his HP debuff, you can apply it just before the boss actually makes a turn. Now, if the boss is actually has used Storm Calling already, it most likely will follow up with an HP attack. And if you just applied the debuff, basically there's a chance that they will miss, but if they hit their next turn, if it's an HP attack, it's basically nulled or cancelled. So you have an opportunity to break it again and start all over. And that's basically all I want to talk about in these other characters. I know I mentioned some characters here and there that I didn't really want to cover too much, because this video is going to be way too long if I decided to go over every single character. Okay, so now let's talk about some healers plus brave battery options. And again, this hasn't really changed. It's gonna be Rem, Selphie, Maria, Eiko, Lena, or Kate Sith. Now, in all honesty, I'll be honest with you guys, if you're going for the Cosmos fight, Lena is probably the best option here. If you do have Vayne in your party, Eiko can help out as well, because she does use a holy element. But overall, Lena is probably the better choice. Now, I did say in my previous video that I'm in the fence whether putting Freya here as well. So if you're bringing Freya along, then you probably won't need Eiko or Lena. Freya is a very good brave battery, and she does heal, and she does quite a decent amount of DPS as well. So I'll take, you can take that with a grain of salt. As for the summon, we only have two options here. It's between Ifrit or Shiva for the summon. Shiva obviously probably a little better choice because of the speed buff that she gives, plus it's the boss weakness. Ice is the boss's weakness, so you can definitely use Shiva here. Okay, so now that's out of the way, let's take a look at some tips for the fight itself. Let's start off with the support character that you want to bring. Honestly guys, there's only one support character that I feel like is the best, and currently it is Quistis. You can bring someone else, you can probably bring a Vayne or a Zac or something along those lines, but I feel like Quistis is probably the best choice for your support. Next up, basically the boss starts to act twice when it's used Storm Calling, as I mentioned before. Basically try to top yourself up with your Brave just before it attacks, since it will most likely follow up with an HP attack. If you look down the list, if you go back to this video, the early start of this video, basically it usually follows up with a Brave plus HP attack as its second attack when it's attacking twice. So just be careful with that and you should be fine. Now, my third tip for you guys in this fight is to apply the poison or the sap debuff. This basically will reduce the amount of HP damage that you may take, of course depending on if you are in the EX or the Cosmos fight. This definitely is gonna help you out. If you can apply even Sarah's frame debuff, that will really help as well. You can also use Kefka's frame debuff as well, because that sort of has a sap component in it as well. But overall, since its attack and magic attack debuff immunity is there. I don't feel confident too much in adding Lilith in the party because that's one of the major things that she can apply, but she can also apply the sap debuff. I didn't mention her in the other characters earlier because of that issue, but more so than anything, I feel like she is a little bit lackluster on the DPS side, but she is still a good Brave Battery, and I'm sure someone will prove me wrong and probably clear this fight with Lilith. But hey, more power to you if you manage to do that. Now, my final tip is to bring in a tank. It is one of those instances that bringing a tank will actually help with your survivability, whether it's Warrior of Light or Celeste. If you don't have Zac powered up, they will help your survivability. Obviously, the question now is whether they would have the DPS that you may need, especially in the Cosmos fight. But for the EX, this shouldn't be an issue. However, in the Cosmos fight, if your tank doesn't have the DPS to back it up, then unfortunately you may end up a little bit short on the DPS and of course with your turn count. But if you're only there for survivability, bringing a tank is definitely gonna help you out. Okay, so now that we are done with the general tips and guides, it's time to take a look at some possible party compositions, and the first one is going to be your boosted team. Basically, you have a choice between Vayne, Zac, Sarah, Paladin, Cecil, or Cyan. Now, I'm gonna be honest that I feel like Cyan is the weakest link here. As you guys have seen in my video, seeing the fight inside, that I managed to clear the Cosmos fight with Zac, Sarah, and Paladin Cecil. You didn't really need Vayne for this, but having Vayne is definitely going to help you out. This is of course with a Quistis support plus Ifrit and Shiva summon, and of course if this team can beat the Cosmos, then you can definitely beat the EX version of the fight. Next is Rinoa, Lena, and Zac with a Quistis support, and this basically is sort of like the meta build party composition. Basically, you have Rinoa, one of the best DPS we have, Lena, the best support that we have, Zac, currently the best tank that we have. So with a Quistis support, basically help with the delay, and again, it's Ifrit or Shiva for the summon. You can always replace Rinoa with Vayne, but Rinoa can definitely do the job for you. Next is Sephiroth, Cloud, and Lena with a Quistis support, Ifrit, and Shiva summon. Basically, Sephiroth is one of your strongest single target DPS. It's definitely going to help reduce the amount of HP that the boss has, and plus you have Cloud for the paralysis like I mentioned earlier, and pairing him up with Quistis support is gonna really give you unlimited amount of turns basically. So once Quistis thing is pretty much over, you can just keep paralyzing the boss, and hopefully you can kill it before it can actually make too many moves on you. And of course, Lena is a great support character. Now, the last team I have for you guys is basically the Holy Trinity, which basically means you bring a tank, a DPS, and a healer. And again, Quistis for support, Ifrit or Shiva for summon. You might think, well, this is pretty much what you said before when you have Zac, Rinoa, and Lena. But I feel like a combination of this, especially even if you don't have Zac, if you're there to survive and just to clear the fight for those extra tickets, especially in the Cosmos fight, then this will definitely help you survive. However, I won't guarantee that you will get all the rewards with this composition, especially if it's not a very good tank, a subpar tank, a subpar healer, and of course a subpar DPS. It's very, very hard to actually meet the DPS requirement with this composition. But like I said, if you're only trying to clear it, then I say use this composition and clear it and get a little bit more rewards for your trouble, especially if you're a new player and you don't have access to a lot of the other characters, then this is definitely probably the team for you. Okay, so we're finally at the end of this video. Man, this has been one of the longest videos that I've ever done in terms of video guides. So I hope you guys really enjoyed it, first of all, and of course I hope it helped you as well. I guess that's the main point of this video. But overall, my final thoughts on the fight. Well, Kieran can be quite troublesome, and I must say this for the Cosmos fight in general. Having a lot more HP plus having 2 turns twice in a row, if you're not really prepared for it, then you're in for some world of hurt. However, this can be bypassed with Quistis. So do I think this is a hard fight? Well, if you don't have Quistis, yes, this is definitely going to be a hard fight. But there are an abundant amounts of people who have Quistis as their support character. So bringing in a Quistis support is really going to help you with this fight. You don't necessarily have to have your own Quistis, but having that extra support of just delaying the boss as much as possible is definitely going to help you out. Plus, in combination, if you get lucky with Vayne, this shouldn't be an issue as well. However, if you don't have these tools, then this is definitely going to be one of the hardest fights that you'll probably ever have. Having 2 turns in a row, it's basically, well, kind of cheating, isn't it? Just like how Vayne is kind of like broken, and it's basically like cheating. So there you go, guys. As always, remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I want to hear from you guys what you think of this fight. Which team did you use? Plus, let me know down in the comments below, like I said earlier, if you like this format better, which with me going back and forth between the EX and the Cosmos fight, because generally, like I said, they are kind of the same strategy, and I don't really want to try and repeating myself too much in 2 different videos. And as always, you can always follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at Munchkins Gaming. This is Munchkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.